Welcome back to the TheCivDiv. Today we're talking about hypertension, and this video is mainly for those with 0% service connection to hypertension already, but for the rest of you that's tuning in for the first time, you will also learn something that will help you to get service connection for the first time. What I will ask is help us grow the channel by liking and subscribing to our channel. It helps us grow as we bring you more great information. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Whiskey 9 Yankee 7 November Golf, over.
All right, let's start with a quick recap. Hypertension is a hard one, and often an increase speaks to being not well from a medical perspective, especially with the numbers that the VA requires you to have. So the VA actually looks at blood pressure in two different ways, and the general rating for blood pressure is actually both of those combined. The first is general hypertension, where the diastolic pressure is predominantly 90 or higher, and isolated systolic hypertension, where the systolic is 160 and the diastolic is less than 90. So from my previous video, we know that the top number is the systolic and the bottom number is the diastolic. So here are the readings or the ratings for hypertension. As you see, they range from 10 to 20 to 40 to 60%. Now, again, the VA wants you to be on death's door before they give you any type of rating for hypertension. So really in this video, we are looking anywhere from 10 to 20%, because anything higher, you probably should seek medical attention and be hospitalized to stabilize that hypertension. So as we know, to get service connection outside of a BDD claim, the first being the test, so the current diagnosis. So for the current diagnosis, hypertension or isolated systolic hypertension must be confirmed by reading taken 2 or more times at least 3 different days. So that is how you get the original service connection as far as the condition or the current diagnosis is concerned. Okay, so now that you've seen what you need, let's go with me assuming that you meet the 160 over 90 portion, which grants you a 0. You are service connected for it. And so let's talk about how to increase that rating from 0 to 10% or above. So we're going in for an increase. Now I just told you how to get the initial service connection, 3 blood pressure readings on 3 different days consecutively in a row. Meaning I go on one day, I get 3 blood pressure readings taken. I go on another 3 and another 3. So this is the first change to that increase. So according to the M21, for increase in a claim for reevaluation of service-connected hypertension, readings on multiple days are not required. Okay, so the policy reflected in the hypertension disability benefits questionnaire is that the hypertension has been previously diagnosed. We're already 0% service connected. The examiner is only required to take 3 blood pressure readings on the day of the examination, and that is it. But there is one more exception to this policy. Multiple confirmatory readings are not required when there is a past diagnosis with hypertension vascular disease currently controlled on a medication. This is very, very important to understand within the M21. So if you're talking about going from 0 service connection to 10%, the exam should consist of 3 blood pressure readings during that evaluation or an evaluation of the medicine you are on and the past readings in your records, right? So it doesn't matter the DBQ or taking of the blood pressure if you're on medicine that's going to lower your blood pressure anyway. So they're going to confirm your prescription. They're going to confirm that you had blood pressure in the past or for that service connection at 0%, and they're going to see what the evaluated blood pressure was, and they're going to base it off of that. So with the reevaluation, you should only need one of the 2 to get the increase. Now, when we're talking about higher ratings like 20, 40, and 60, medication is still considered. But The readings will have to be relatively close, and that will have to be a conversation between you and the examiner, because it's really, really hard for them to give you 20 or 40 when you're on that ACH inhibitor, or you're on that beta blocker, or you're on that diuretic, right? And you will never be able to get to that level if your medicine is working. So that's the real hardship of hypertension when you're talking about the increase. So a recommendation to help get around this: I recommend making a high blood pressure log and taking your blood pressure before you take your meds. Here's the most important part though. Take that log and turn it into your healthcare provider and have them make notes. If you just turn in that log into the VA, it is a self-report. That's all it is. It's only a self-report, which is considered the lowest form of evidence. I'm talking about in the hierarchy of all the things you can turn in, including buddy and lay statements. Self-reports are at the very bottom. But if you turn it into your healthcare provider and they make notes, it is now considered medical evidence. Okay, so let's talk about secondaries, or pseudo-presumptive secondaries. High blood pressure, when I say pseudo, I mean they are not technically presumptives, but still they are directly linked to high blood pressure in such a way that if you have high blood pressure, even at 0%, and you are currently diagnosed with any of these symptoms, you will most likely get them to label them as secondaries, more likely than to not. Okay, so the first one up on the docket is hyperthyroidism, which is a condition that occurs when individuals' thyroid gland fail to keep hormone levels as high as they should be. The DC code is 7900, and you can get 30% a rating for 6 months after the initial diagnosis. And then after that, they will then reevaluate you to see if it is a sustainable condition. Next on the list is a stroke. So hypertension is one of the most common factors for certain types of strokes. So there are a plethora of strokes within the 38 CFR. It goes from DC code 8005 all the way to 8009, which accounts for stroke, hemorrhage, thrombosis, embolisms. All of those are under there. So you get 100% for 6 months after, and then 10% minimum after the reevaluation and the effect of that stroke. Next, we have kidney disease. This accounts for an acute kidney failure, diabetic neuropathy, chronic kidney disease, and end-stage renal failure. And is rated under the genitourinary system. And it talks about all the dysfunctions of kidneys, renal failure, everything. That holds a rating of 0, 30, 60, 80, and 100%. Last but not least on the list is coronary artery disease, known as CAD or CAD, assigned a disability rating of 10, 30, or 100%, depending on its severity as seen in the 38 CFR. Okay, everyone, that's all I have for high blood pressure. Now that you understand what the VA is looking for and the secondary benefits you can claim under it, you should now be able to get adequately rated for the conditions that you actually have associated with high blood pressure, or the lower rating you have for high blood pressure that you should be elevated to. This is Jay with TheCivDiv. Stay informed, stay resilient, and I'll see you next time.